I don't know about you, but this has just been a month. It's March 31st that I'm taking the time to record some episodes just to catch up because there's been so much spaciousness and slowness that I have personally been leaning into while doing so much behind the scenes. Like, I kid you not when I say, where did March go? And especially in this Aries energy, I'm noticing even within myself and collectively picking up on that need for things to be done now, and sometimes witnessing some frustration arise to the surface because things might not be happening fast enough. So I just want to offer, especially within listening to this episode, some compassion, some grace, some awareness as always that you can take forward to start to just heal even further some patterns that may be unconscious to you. Also, just to kind of share with you some updates before we get into the episode itself, which I'm really looking to bring forward some clarity in the distinction between nervous system and mindset work. But what's been unfolding behind the scenes is what you will find in the show notes today is the brand new free masterclass Money Makeover that's happening on Thursday, April 6th at 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. Again, this is completely free. I would love to have you there, and we're going to untangle a lot around your root pattern and how trauma at times in your nervous system response too has been impacting your tolerance and your capacity to hold more wealth, to hold more money. There's so much within this work that not necessarily is just so nuanced, but it also really extends into the wealth that we create, the clients that we have the capacity to hold space for, the volume to which we receive. And so it's just such a beautiful foundational point to start to recognize. And I know for myself, it wasn't really necessarily at the forefront of my work when I started my business until I reached a point where I was like, wow, I am way past my tolerance and my capacity. And these are why my behaviors are being a little bit more illuminated, let's call it. There's also been, of course, weeding out a lot more within Wealth Recode, which officially opens on April 6th following that masterclass. I'll have the link below too because there's a special offer for anyone that gets on the wait list prior to the doors opening. And last but not least, to kind of share just from a coaching lens, everything that's been unraveling is making a brand new commitment with a coach of I have been in her vortex literally since 2020 when I started my business. And to be honest, I have never engaged on her content. I've never participated in any of her free masterclasses in any sort of way. And I want to just bring this forward because sometimes we can get so fixated on metrics, on engagement, and you never quite know who is watching. And that possibility in itself can hold so much magic for you. This individual, again, of me just sitting in that space for 2+, I guess now 3 years actually, until this very divinely synchronized opportunity came up to step into her energy. And I just leaned into my intuition to be like, I want to invest in this session, which led me to invest with her one-to-one. And we were just laughing because she's like, I have never seen you before. Like, you just pokerooed into my life. And this is what I incredibly love too, when clients just come and pokeroo right into my vortex. Then again, there's clients that are being nurtured that I do know that need some time. So never necessarily let engagement or let the, again, external metrics influence the way that you are continuing to show up. I just want to bring that forward again, just being in this Aries season, everything kind of feels like it needs to happen now, that frustration arising and just witnessing the beauty of not necessarily getting to the destination itself, but the process to get there. Another thing I just want to honor and celebrate before we dive into this episode is welcoming not only a new client into my space, but also the opportunity to have a re-signed client after a 6-month package, which I really feel like when you have the right offboarding, growth, and ascension product suite, and you really know how to not just customize, but have some flexibility in what it is that you are offering, yet at the same time structure, it makes not necessarily always seeking out new clients and putting that stress on yourself so much more seamless. Anyways, I will leave it there. Get ready for this episode. I look forward to hearing from you and hopefully even seeing you within the Money Makeover Masterclass. Until next week, here is your episode. Welcome to the Living Connected podcast. I'm your host, Mallory Meyer. I'm a multi-six-figure online entrepreneur, founder of White Wolf Reiki, and creator of the Frequency Business Mastery School. I weave together the metaphysical with the science of the subconscious mind and timeless business principles to help you take your passion for serving and empowering others full time. I'm not just here to teach you how to build a profitable and aligned business, but to invite in more authenticity, awareness, clarity, and certainty in what, who, and how you serve. In return, to generate more sales as you cultivate greater confidence and wealth through deeper self-sovereignty and advocacy, inviting in a trauma-sensitive approach to protocols and processes in our marketing and selling as we honor each client's humanity in the process of living more connected. This podcast is here to connect you further to your self-mastery for business, your lifestyle, and of course, your mindset. Join me on my mission to uplift and elevate the collective to love and light. Now, for those of you who have been very embedded and meshed with a lot of mindset work, you may be asking yourself, well, what does having a regulated nervous system have to even do with money, with wealth, and my ability to create more? And one of the things that I want to speak to here is if you are an entrepreneur, if you're a coach, I know you are so wise in your mind. Yet our triggers and our body just may respond in a way that our mind doesn't have strategies for. And this is one of the biggest things that arose within me of I was told it was 80% mindset, 20% strategy. However, through all these investments, my mindset could only take me so far, and then I started to hit a wall. And this is where, when we're talking about embodying something, it's completely different. Nervous system work is integrating the body with the mind. And this is where mindset is great to bring back once you're in a regulated state. But when you're dysregulated, such as like moving through feelings of I'm not enough, anxiety, aggression, feeling this failure or this fear, it can be very challenging to create a lasting shift in application. It's really just like a temporary opportunity to witness versus actually expanding out your threshold. And once you really learn your own capacity with your upper limits, you can really start to tap into with so much compassion to start to invite forward how to gain control back again and start to shift more into that parasympathetic ventral vagal state where you get to feel empowered in how you co-create wealth in your reality that also looks sustainable. Because if you have chosen to step into this entrepreneurial journey, of course you are in this work to be of service, to help others. But you also likely desire to have a lens of freedom, of connection, of engagement, which does require creating spaciousness. That does require leaning back into the sustainability that you have created within your business, which obviously at the root of it comes with the energetic exchange of money. Yet sometimes we manage our business from a trauma response, and recognizing perhaps behaviors and feelings such as you hoard your money and you experience fear releasing or spending it. Even this unconscious constant need to invest in your business because you have extra money and you don't know how to save. You're anticipating even the ball is going to drop the moment you create that income that you have always desired. I know I will raise my hand because that definitely was something personal for me, or an inability to have anything in your savings account to really pay in full and unconsciously avoid attracting in new clients because you likely sense a lack of safety having the money. All these areas we are going to personally explore much more into that Money Makeover Masterclass, where you get to have an understanding around the behaviors with money, to take that first step with healing and really start to identify the nervous system response that you have been operating within. This will all be spoken to within that Money Makeover Masterclass, but an example for you here, because one of our nervous system responses is to be in a state of fight. And when we're in a state of fight, this is where you may notice that you become easily triggered by seeing people on social media who have, again, this illusion even of more money than you, and not being able to tolerate those who may seemingly, again, have more than you when it comes to money right now we're talking about. And it's not uncommon to feel shame in not having the money. And as such, you just find yourself in competition and bearing judgment. You may feel as if you're constantly just pushing the need to do and make more, which ultimately just leads you beyond that energetic capacity. And so really taking a moment to acknowledge, well, what is the specific trigger that's being mirrored back to you in recognizing someone else may be making more than you? Again, there's so much that can go into when someone says that they have a 100K month, really at the, what's the profit that they're taking away? Because anyone at that level too, making that level of wealth usually does have a support team and therefore expenses that are going out. So we can't necessarily just take it at basis. What are you even fighting and not fully embracing within yourself? Just to turn that comparison into power. And then what gets to be that next aligned action for you to take? Because it again comes back into you acknowledging where has not just again your predominant nervous system response been held when it comes to how you operate and how you lean and use money, but this will really help you when it comes to your capacity to create more. So what I was mentioning earlier, your window of capacity, this is a framework that's just talked about by Dan Siegel. And the way that we can apply this is, I wish I had a visual to show you right now, but it's essentially just looking at like an upswing in a curve and then the curve coming back down. And we all have our own upper limit. Now, when we stretch above our upper limit, above that window of capacity, that tolerance, it's having the ability to still come back down, yet without completely going back down and unable to stretch beyond that tolerance window again. So there's a less of a kind of nosedive, and it gets to be just more like a fluid, smooth steadiness while you are stretching yourself, where you get to discern pain from discomfort and letting you know when you're at your edge of that resiliency to have the flexibility and the choice to come into safety. This is truly what a window of capacity and tolerance looks like, because at the end of the day, each and every day, the goal is not to be calm. It's to be able to come back to our window of tolerance. And this will be displayed. I'm talking about money a lot just with this brand new offer, but it can also arise if we are an entrepreneur and we're being asked to be seen more. We're being asked to use our voice more. And where it's so beautiful to have the tools to help you regulate when you find yourself, usually when you're in that window of tolerance, you are maneuvering through the states of fight or flight. At times, you may be taken into freeze if you really stretch beyond that upper limit. And this again will all be covered, at least within Wealth Recode, talking about the distinctive responses and giving you the opportunity to really map out your nervous system. I'll also talk about this more within the Money Makeover Masterclass, but when we really have a clear picture about the behaviors that we are associating with when we find ourselves in these states, that's again where we can start to recognize how to bring ourselves back to our parasympathetic, our ability to be able to stay connected, to stay engaged, just to stay grounded with choice and safety. And this again is where our resources vastly differ from the resources that we pull from when we are doing mindset work. because this is very much more somatic association, awareness, release, reconnection with not only the breath in itself, but starting to make conscious choice and also have the ability to create meaning through the context of feeling in the body. And then again, transmutation, having these practices to really heighten that ability for regulation. A flexible autonomic nervous system is when you have the skill and the intention to not always lock yourself in one state, but we know when we're not safe and there's a perceived threat, and diverting essentially resources away from our optimized health, our optimized relationships. And I'll always come back to that very big example of mine last year of having a 20K month and so many beliefs and thoughts coming forward to the surface of how can I replicate this? This doesn't even make sense how this was created. It didn't feel safe even to hold that amount. And the pressure that I was even putting on myself at that point in time to deliver, because now I was holding this level of wealth. There's so many different opportunities for us to grow and for us to heal. It's almost like the more money you make, the more drama that you need to essentially emotionally have the intelligence to attend to, which is just the beauty of choosing again back to the commitment of this path, what gets to unfold for you. Now, for anyone who is absolutely brand new to nervous system work, just at a baseline level, like your autonomic nervous system, simply put, is those automatic patterns, everything that you are running as autopilot in your day, just because our nervous system is built on repetition. So if your environment that you have been in, whether as a child, whether as of even the last few years, has been completely chaotic, completely filled with anxiety and stress and chaos of just not knowing left between right and not being able to find that balance, that energy in itself is what you crave and find safety in, maybe without even knowing, and that's where it's going to come forward in your business as well. The biggest piece with this in our autonomic nervous system is we will move, like I mentioned, through these three states of our parasympathetic, feeling deeply engaged, connected, grounded, calm, through other times of the perceived threat of danger. And especially where I live in BC, there is sometimes a heightened level of perceived danger when I'm out on a hike. You never know when a cougar might pop out of the forest or a bear, but I'm already recognizing within my body, like my shoulders come up, that kind of hypervigilance where I'm not able to be so present and in the moment just because of my awareness around within my environment, trying to even find safety within myself when I'm alone and mobilizing my resources. So if there was a sighting of the bear, the cougar, maybe even a wolf or coyote, I have the energy to sprint to get away from there. From these fight and flight kind of states, and this again can be very much translated into our business depending on our window of capacity and tolerance that we have already built up. This is where we're looking at, are we moving then into like a freeze? It's not necessarily dorsal, like you have been caught, you need to shut down, but there's also this ability of you freeze, and this is where there's more of an immobilization of it's just complete overwhelm. You can't necessarily take that next step. Procrastination. And if we can't get ourselves back up through freeze, this is where dorsal comes, fetal position. There's actually a really beautiful analogy I was reading of lately. It's not even an analogy as I say it, but gazelle are hunted by lions. And if a gazelle gets caught by a lion, the response of the nervous system with the gazelle is going into dorsal, completely playing dead. And this tells the lion, because they seek out in a way of which if they feel within their teeth the lack of the bones and something just completely limp, they want the fight and they will just release the gazelle and then move forward to another animal. The funny thing is, in observation, as soon as the gazelle is released, it goes back and it's with its mother and it's connected and it's eating and it's been able to fully bring itself back essentially into ventral vagal. It's our, like us as species, as mammals are incredible the way that we operate when we really start to recognize this. I'm not going to get into co-regulation in this episode, but it is such a foundational piece to our own growth and learning, and even just having a coach with you. Just on the topic of nervous system work, I want to shout out Plant People. I'm going to have a special code for you to take 15% off with Plant People. But for me specifically, with their products, they are vegan, they're gluten-free, they're very mushroom-based. And I don't know about you, but especially at night, I get a surge of mobilization of energy, and it's really important for me to down-regulate, to be able to calm myself. And especially because it is still a little bit cold here, not so much light at night, instead of going out for a walk, I've been making this beautiful Wonder Sleep cacao blend by Plant People. You'll find it on their website, but it's infused with reishi, with GABA, with chamomile, and it is so delicious. And it definitely just, again, helps me to relax, to calm down, and just really relish in the day. So whether it's something like that or something to help ease with your anxiety each and every day, I highly recommend Plant People. Give them a look and let me know how it may land with you. Okay, so one of the last things that I just want to make mention of for today's episode, again, I hope it's given you some opportunity to really understand what is nervous system regulation. And that being said, the more work and the more focus you offer yourselves between coming into having the resources to truly regulate, and it's not saying like I'm going to be regulating my nervous system, it's actually the approach of embodying and integrating these approaches, which there's so many that we can find. It's finding the one that suits us best. I'm going to be sharing so many examples within Wealth Recode that you would have instant access to. But even more so, the more that we do this work with our autonomic nervous system, this is really where I want you to envision your mind. And on one side, you have resilience, and the other side, you have flexibility. Now, at your certain stage, wherever you are in this life, where you are with your business, where you are with your own journey, you will have had an ability to which you have that limit, that capacity and that threshold to which you have expanded to a certain point. Now, I'm even seeing now the image of an elastic band. So let me use this as an analogy. You can stretch that band as far out as possible, but it is going to snap back at a specific time. This is because of the work that you have done. And to be able to have a band that is looser, that is longer, that you get to stretch, and very much like you have that resilience where it's not going to snap back in a sudden shift, but it comes back more gently. That's the flexibility lens of it. So now you're witnessing you can pull further on the band while also seeing it compress a lot more slowly, where it doesn't, again, pop back and slap you in the face. So this is the work of the nervous system. And this is why, again, it's so exciting to be announcing all this work that's coming, that's been unfolding and integrating for myself, that I have been embodying since last year to bring forward for you. The first step being this first, again, Money Makeover Masterclass. In signing up, you are going to learn your behaviors with money to take that first step for healing, along with the nervous system response that you've been predominantly operating from. You're also going to get to break free from the root pattern that's creating the influx of money, so that you can really be the entrepreneur who feels safe holding and spending money, where it also feels like enough. Plus, I'm going to be guiding you through one of the somatic-based activities that will help you to begin to shift your financial identity so you can easily attract more money into your business. Again, this will be held on Thursday, April 6th at 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. And do not miss your chance to get in, be live, and I will have the link again in the show notes. I cannot wait to see you there. Have a beautiful week ahead.